There is an unchanging tendency inherent in the nature of man. Man becomes what he imagines himself to be. And if you analyze all the thoughts that arise in your head now, you will be able to determine what you will be in 10 years, claimed long-lived writer Norman Peale. Born in the late 19th century, Norman Peale lived a long life that lasted 95 years and is widely considered the founder of positive thinking. He held the belief that a person's thoughts shape their experiences, as evidenced by the stories he collected throughout his life. These stories shed light on the power of positive thinking. Norman Peale shared these stories in his book, The Incredible Results of Positive Thinking, recounting his personal involvement in some of them. For example, a remarkable incident happened to him while traveling on a train. As he entered the carriage, the conductor greeted him and asked if he was ready for a restful sleep. After confirming his readiness, Norman made his way to his compartment and found a neatly made bed with fresh-smelling sheets and blankets. The cozy surroundings were conducive to a quick and sound sleep. Waking up later than usual the next morning, Norman Peale went to breakfast. The same conductor inquired about the quality of his sleep, to which Norman replied that the sleep was excellent. The conductor subsequently told of another passenger traveling in the same compartment. Unlike Norman, this passenger complained of a sleepless night. In fact, the conductor, already known to us, once made a surprising discovery. Every time before the train left, he would ask the passengers if they intended to get a good night's sleep, and in the morning he would find out if their expectations had been met. The difference between me and my compartment mate was our mentality. I was determined to have a restful sleep and achieved it. My neighbor, on the other hand, had convinced himself that it would be impossible to fall asleep on the train. The conductor discovered this pattern many years ago. He noticed that his passengers fell asleep when they had that intention. And those who expressed a fear of not being able to sleep stayed awake until morning. What was happening to the passengers was exactly what they had prepared themselves for, Norman Peale explained. Another story told by Norman Peale involves a woman named Helena Zelaya. The writer met her at one of the dinner parties. Helena had her own restaurant where she cooked Mexican cuisine. The woman was completely blind. Helena had two trials at once. First she lost her sight, and shortly thereafter her husband was involved in a car accident that cost him his life. After months of deep despair, Helena decided to find a way out of her grief. During this dinner, Mrs. Zelaya expressed a principle she follows in her life. "Always act," she said, "as if defeat does not exist for you." Helena is now the author of many cookbooks and lectures on the subject. She is an example of a strong-minded person who does her best to deal with the challenges in her life. Weak-spirited people, on the other hand, retreat in the face of obstacles. They take criticism hard and lose courage. They complain and fail, Norman narrated in his book. Though not all the stories retold by Norman Peale look cheerful, the writer calls the heroes of these stories as winners. Let us understand the reason behind this viewpoint. A boy named Jim McKee had been practicing soccer since childhood, but at the age of 14 he was forced to give it up because of a serious illness. Due to the illness, the boy lost his leg and walked with a prosthetic leg. McKee appealed to his coach to find a way to continue to play on the high school soccer team despite his physical limitations. The coach allowed him to attend all practices and games, recognizing that Jim's presence played an important role in team morale. The team's players saw that Jim was always smiling. He never missed a practice and was always an example of courage to the other boys. Thanks to Jim's support, the team went the entire season without a single loss. The coach decided to throw a banquet in honor of the boy. And the players of the team prepared a ball with their autographs for him as a gift, said Norman Peale. However, fate intervened. Jim's illness resumed and he was too weak to attend the event. Despite this setback, he managed to visit the coach's office 2 weeks later, where he received an autographed ball. The coach openly acknowledged that the team's victories were due in large part to Jim's influence. That day, Jim was invited to participate in the team's practices and lift the team's spirits for the upcoming season. Unfortunately, the hero of this story did not make any promises, realizing his imminent departure from life. A few days later, Jim's life was cut short. Some will say, but after all, Jim died. Positive thinking didn't do him much good, but Jim knew how to behave and how to create something inspiring out of the worst situation. He clearly knew what lay ahead of him, but was determined not to give up. Jim ordered his life in a way that instilled courage, faith and joy in those around him. Can you say that a man who ordered his life in this way has failed? Norman Peale pointed out that many people do not understand the essence of positive thinking. But, from his point of view, it is nothing but the power of the inner spirit of a person. And the power of the spirit is that in difficult moments of life, a person flatly refuses to accept defeat as the final reality. And it is this way of thinking that allows to find the best way out of the most difficult situations. When hope and faith crumble, one must always hope for the best. Looking at difficulties with the confidence that they will be overcome will avoid defeat. Action invariably follows thought. If you keep the thought in your head for a long time that you will be lucky, then luck will definitely smile on you. This principle is applicable to all cases that may arise on the path of life, explained Norman Peale. Norman Peale's views convince us that each of us possesses an incredible inner power, through which we can accept difficulties not as failures, but as life's most valuable lessons. By reframing difficult moments as temporary setbacks rather than insurmountable defeats, we can harness our innate ability to find innovative solutions even in the most challenging circumstances. But most importantly, if we maintain the strength of our faith and the light that lies deep within each of us, no obstacle is beyond us. Combining faith and light thoughts, we can be absolutely sure that any of our wishes will become a reality. It is very important to realize that positive thoughts do not always come by themselves. They need to be developed and strengthened by drawing inspiration from various sources. To maintain a positive attitude, it is very useful to read motivational books, watch inspirational movies or listen to music that inspires joy and optimism. Norman Peale emphasized the importance of developing a positive attitude and interacting with positive people. Negative interactions can have a negative impact on us, so choose your environment wisely. Get to know those who energize and inspire you, and make time to maintain those valuable connections. But staying positive isn't easy. We can't always control the situations and events that happen in our lives. But we can control our thoughts and reactions to those events. Consequently, it is important to realize that we can choose our own perspective and allow positive thoughts to enter our minds. According to Norman Peale, the key to maintaining positive thoughts is the regular practice of mindfulness and gratitude. If you constantly remind yourself of your accomplishments, successes, and positive events, it helps to realize their value and be grateful for them. Ultimately, maintaining positive thoughts requires constant labor and effort on our part. However, the results are worth it. A positive attitude results in a favorable emotional state, increased vitality, self-confidence, and overall well-being. So let us, friends, try to keep bright thoughts in ourselves. After all, there are so many wonderful and amazing things in our world, and you can enjoy every moment of life, if you only learn to see and appreciate it. Thank you for your attention and for each comment, they are very important to us. Together with you we make this channel a place where light, inspiration and life wisdom flourish. Peace of mind, happiness and joy to you and your loved ones. See you again.